Selling $10 million in volume as a realtor is not as hard as you think. It really just comes down to this 4-step framework I'm about to show you in this video. And after helping over 70 realtors skyrocket their income, we have boiled this down to a repeatable process. And once you understand it, you will be able to scale your income fast, all without cold calling, door knocking, or sending mailers. So if you want to make 2025 your highest income year, sit back, relax, and let's dive in. So if you want to sell $10 million in volume in 1 year, it's all going to start with a plan. So I've gone ahead and mapped out the entire blueprint, the entire 4-step blueprint for how we're going to actually go ahead and do it. So it's going to all consist of these 4 things: an inbound lead funnel system, a fully built out automated ISA system, a long-term follow-up system that is going to essentially, run on autopilot and re-engage your cold and warm leads 365 days a year. And then we also need a agent contract conversion system. So it's one thing to generate a bunch of leads. It's one thing to set a bunch of appointments. It's another thing to actually, close on those appointments and actually, win those deals over so that, your clients aren't going with your competitors or anything. So to all kind of map out this plan for $10 million in volume specifically, we're going to go ahead and start by reverse engineering the goal and breaking it down to figure out exactly how many leads we need to be generating and how we're going to actually make that happen. So I've put together this 1-year GCI calculator. I've already got some random numbers plugged in here, so I'm going to go ahead and go through this with you right now. But as a typical agent, if you're making 3% and you want to close $10 million in volume, that means you're shooting to make around $300,000 for the entire year. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that number in right here. If you want to make 300 grand in GCI in 1 year, then you're going to go ahead, this is how we're going to actually make it happen. So first we're going to go ahead and plug in the average local home price. So, say, I'm based out of, Phoenix, Arizona. So average home price in Phoenix, $499.9. Easy enough. Okay. And obviously if you want to, go ahead and use this calculator and everything, just go ahead and, ask me for it, and I'll send that over to you, and you can go ahead and plug this in with your own numbers. But if we just say $500,000 for the average local home price there, if you're taking home about 3% of that, that means your GCI on each deal is going to be about $15,000. In order to make 300 grand for the entire year or close 10 million in volume, you're going to need to close 20 transactions at an average home price of 500. Now, in order to actually close those deals, we need to figure out how many appointments we need and how many leads we actually need to be generating. So this is where you're going to go ahead and plug in your personal appointment closing rate. So 25% is a pretty conservative number. I've seen agents close at 50%, 60, 75% all the time. But keep in mind, this system is designed to generate cold traffic. So people who don't know you, this is to generate new people for you to bring into your sphere of influence, to develop relationships and stuff with. But it's not like you're, sister's cousin who got referred to you through so-and-so, and now they're, wanting to buy a house and they already know, like, and trust you. So this is going to be a little bit more of a number that you need to be a little bit more conservative about, just because at the end of the day, you can't win every single one of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this at 25%, wicked conservative. That means if you go on 4 appointments, you're only getting doc signed on 1 of them. Now, if that is the case and we need to do 20 deals a year, that means we need 80 appointments over the course of the entire year. On a monthly, weekly, and quarterly basis, we're going to need 20 appointments a quarter. We're going to need 7 appointments a month. We're going to need 2 appointments a week. That is so freaking easy. That's like part-time. That's less than part-time. This just goes to show you how easy it actually is to make to close 10 million in volume as a real estate agent. Now, the hard part that most agents don't understand is how they're actually going to get these appointments in the first place, right? 80 appointments for the entire year is nothing. That is such a small number to hit. But if you don't have the appointments and you don't know how to get the appointments, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you. So the way that this strategy, the way that this blueprint is designed is to create a predictable stream of real estate revenue. And we're going to do that through an automated ISA team to, as well as marketing department, to generate leads, to call all of the leads, to follow up with all of the leads, and have somebody else set those appointments for you. So I've got our own numbers plugged in here. This is exactly what we do. We run an IS8. We have an in-house inside sales agent team of real estate specialists that call and follow up on behalf of all of the agents that we're partnered with across the country. So we do all of their marketing to generate hundreds of leads every single month, but we're not just passing those hundreds of leads to our partners for them to go and, have at it, try to find a needle in a haystack, essentially. We instead send them over to our ISA team to call through them, follow up with them. We'll call a lead 20 times before we finally get them on the phone, have a great conversation with them, and they're ready to actually, transact in the next couple of months here. So that's exactly what we do, and that's exactly the system that I'm going to show you how to build right now. So our ISA team, for our company, typically converts leads at about 10%. So for every 10 leads we actually generate, only one of them is actually a serious buyer or seller, and that's the one that we're setting an appointment with. So if we want 80 appointments based on a 10% lead to appointment rate, that means we need 800 leads throughout the entire year. Again, that's super, super easy too. We have, agents and partners that we work with that'll generate multiple hundreds of leads every single month, right? So it's not that difficult to actually hit these numbers. On a monthly basis, that's going to be 67 leads. On a quarterly basis, we're looking at 200. On a weekly basis, we're looking at 15. So now that we know exactly what we need to do, exactly how many leads and how many appointments we need to actually be generating down to a weekly level, we literally just have to build the systems in order to actually make that happen. So we're going to go back over to the blueprint, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do this. So it's all going to start with marketing. If we need, again, going back to these numbers specifically, if we need 67 leads a month, then or 15 leads a day, we need to build a marketing campaign that consistently can generate whatever that was, 15 leads a week. So 15 new leads per week, just like that. Again, 67 leads every single month, and we're going to be building an inbound lead funnel system. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to be setting up an initial buyer's campaign or a seller's campaign. Again, this is going to be dependent on your market, what's popular, what kind of real estate is actually selling, what are the local buyers and sellers actually interested in, right? Where is the most opportunity? And that's something that I'm happy to have that conversation with you to help solve. Or if you are an experienced realtor, you should already know the answer to that question yourself. So we're going to be piquing the interest of local potential buyers and sellers using, home lists, new construction opportunities, off-market property opportunities. If we're going for sellers, then we're using cash offer opportunities, free home evaluation, sellers guides, and there's a number of different other ones that you can use to actually get those leads in the door. You can see here, this is some of the campaigns that we've run for our partners. So you can see we've literally generated tens of thousands of leads for all our agents across the entire country. Now, what we're going to be doing is setting up A/B split tests. Now, whether you're doing this yourself or you have, a professional marketer like us, actually doing this for you, doesn't really matter. But the whole point of this is that your time is spent so much better, maybe learning how to use these skills, setting an hour aside every single day, 2 hours aside, to actually focus on your marketing and focus on, getting leads in the door, rather than running around knocking on doors, making cold calls, this and that all day long. So you're going to be setting up initial A/B split tests, and this is something that's going to be ongoing, is monitoring these metrics every single day in order to make sure that the ads that you're running are actually converting, because they're only going to work well for so long. You can find a winning ad and you can use it for a little while and you're going to get a couple hundred leads, or you may get that 67 leads a month that you need, but at the end of the day, they're going to dry out eventually, right? Once everybody in your market has seen the ad that you're running, they're going to stop clicking on it. So you need to introduce new creatives, use new ads to actually pique their attention. So I'm actually going to show you some of the winning ads that we use for our partners here, and you can literally just go ahead and steal those. Next thing you're going to be doing is assessing the ad data on a weekly basis, because yes, you do want to monitor the metrics every single day, but you don't want to necessarily just make changes like that because one thing might be a little off one day, right? It's just one day. You need to make sure you're focusing on your data on a macro level. So every single week, you want to have a sit down, go through your ads manager, and actually pay attention and see what your click-through rate is, what your link click-through rate is, what your form conversion rate is, and depending on those numbers, if your click-through rate is extremely low, then you're going to be testing new creatives, meaning new images on the actual ad. If your link click-through rate is, that means you don't have a good enough, headline, or the copy on your ad actually isn't selling that good enough. So you want to test new headlines, new copy, things like that. If your form isn't converting right, then that means people don't see that what you're offering is valuable enough for them to give their information away, right? So you need to test a new offer. So if you're running with home evaluations, maybe switch to a cash offer. If you're running with new construction, maybe people in your market aren't really interested in new construction enough to be willing to give their information away. So switch to a more casual homes list style, right? Or maybe target a different price point. Maybe people don't want to buy homes for 500,000. Maybe they want to buy them for 6. Maybe they want to buy them for 4, right? These are all part of the testing process, and that's why we A/B test. Test everything. Test. New offers, new headlines, all of it. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and scroll through this so that you can take screenshots, take inspiration, whatever. These are all winning ads that we've tested in some or other markets to actually generate an extremely high volume of leads at a really, really great cost per lead. You can see we've done this in more expensive markets, 900,000, 800,000, millions. Like, we've tested this literally all across the entire country with all kinds of different offers, headlines, and whatnot. So we know what works. So feel free to just take whatever you want off of here, or at least take some inspiration from it, and you can maybe add that to your ad library. Now, once we've dialed all this in, we've set up your campaigns, and you're generating dirt cheap leads for literally like a couple bucks a lead. Anywhere from $5 to $10 a lead is typically pretty good. We've been able to, generate leads for significantly cheaper than that, as low as like $1, $2, $3 even. But at the end of the day, this system only requires you to generate 67 leads every single month, right? And that is where the next piece of the puzzle is going to come in. So we need an ISA team that's going to convert 10%, or at least 10%, because that's what we plugged into the calculator originally, 10% of the leads that we actually generated there. Now, in order to make that, to convert the 10% of leads into appointments, right? You want to have them book them directly onto your appointments. So you can hire your own in-house ISAs, or if you want, you can have a conversation with us and you can just leverage our ISAs. So as far as what we do to build out our ISA department, each and every time that we work with a new agent, we write the initial setting scripts, so scripts that are specific to your market that talk about the local benefits, the local things that people are actually interested in your market. We're setting up split tests, testing different scripts with different opener lines, different pitches, different appointment pitches and stuff to try to see what people are actually interested in. So just like the way you're split testing with your ads, you also want to split test with your scripts, right? Next thing you want to do is make sure that your scripts are collecting all the necessary information. This is a little bit variable based on what you actually care about, collecting. It's one thing to set, 80 appointments across the entire year or 2 appointments a week. But if the appointments aren't good, if the appointments aren't qualified, if everybody that you're meeting with literally can't even afford to buy a house or something, that's another problem there. So you're going to have to make sure that the scripts are collecting the necessary amount of information. And if you increase your pre-qualification, that may decrease your lead to booking rate. And if you decrease your lead to booking rate, what does that mean? It means you have to generate more leads, which means you may have to spend a little bit more on marketing to get those people in the door in the first place. Another thing that we have as well here is an actual ad spend calculator in order to figure out exactly how many leads we need to be generating every single month. So I'll go ahead and just plug those numbers in really quick, just so you can kind of get a vague idea of what you'll need to spend in order to make sure that you're going to actually hit that 10 million in volume mark. So in this case, if we need to generate 67 leads every single month in order to hit that goal, I'm going to go ahead and plug that 67 there. Average cost per lead for us, it's usually around 5, but we'll just call it 5 right there. That means every single month you're going to need to spend around $335 on your ads in order to make sure that you have that lead volume. Now, obviously, if your lead to appointment rate is significantly lower than 10%, that means you're going to need more leads. And if you need more leads, you're going to have to spend more money. Or if your ads suck and your cost per lead is, $10, $15, $20, that means you're going to have to spend even more. So that's the whole point of doing all the testing, is to continuously bring these numbers lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Because even with us, not every single time that we partner with an agent, we're hitting these great numbers right away. Sometimes we have to test, for a couple of weeks in order to pull those numbers down and get them to be exactly where we want them to be. But as far as pre-qualification goes, we are, at least on our team, we're making sure that every single person that we pass off, every single person that we book an appointment with is fully unrepresented. They're not working with another agent. We're talking with them about their budget, their time frame, their motivation behind buying or selling, their financial status, their search criteria. All of these are things and topics that we require our ISA team to, address with their prospects, with the people that they're talking to, with the leads that they're having conversations with. We require them to have this conversation every single time and touch on every single one of these topics before actually setting that appointment. So you want to make sure that your ISAs aren't just scheduling anybody and everybody into your calendar, because then you're going to be driving all around the city, wasting a lot of time that way. So you want to make sure that the quality is up to your standard, right? Your standard may be different from ours. If you want to take more, appointments that aren't as good quality, totally up to you. Or if you do want to, these are like the 6 pieces of information that we've found to be like the most reliable when it comes to qualifying someone. So after that, whether it's you or it's us, we're going to be reviewing the ISA call recordings every single day. We're going to be monitoring the quality of the appointments being set. If the appointment quality is low and you're meeting with a ton of people who are super unqualified, they want way too much for their property, this or that, or whatever makes it that it's not even going to be a workable deal, then we're going to be raising the minimum qualification. So not only are we asking about all of these points, but we also set minimums, right? If it's impossible to buy a single family home for $350,000 in your market, do not have your ISA set appointments with people who are looking to buy a single family home for $350,000, right? You need to set minimums and make those expectations super clear with them so they know exactly what they are doing. And this is where it can become really, really valuable to actually hire like a local agent to be your full-time ISA. Now, if you do that, you're going to need to pay them a lot. They're going to expect to be compensated really, really well. Being like a full-time agent, no one wants to work for free. We don't work for free, neither do our ISAs. So obviously, along with the quality of work that you get, like you kind of get what you pay for. So yes, you can hire overseas, this and that, but if you're going to, just make sure that they, are studying your market, that they understand who they're talking to, that they know how to have those conversations with the locals and whatnot to make sure that they're actually converting. Now, in regards to actually converting, we're going to need to build an ISA training regimen for them. So they are going to need a routine as far as like role playing. If you have multiple ISAs, you can have them role play with each other. That'll save you a ton of time. If you only have one ISA, then you're going to need to do that training and daily, appointment setting script, like role play with them. So make sure you're practicing with them. And on that practice, you're making adjustments and stuff to the scripts. You're helping them handle objections when people tell you, oh, call me back later. Oh, I don't know what my schedule's looking like next week. They need to know what to say. If they don't know what to say, you're not going to be setting appointments. And again, you're just going to be generating a bunch of leads, but you're not going to be getting any appointments. Then the next thing you're going to do in order to keep your ISAs actually in check, make sure that they're performing at the standard that you expect them to, you are going to be setting up a KPI tracker. So these are the key performance indicators that you're going to want to pay very, very close attention to make sure that your ISAs are actually performing. So you want to track speed to lead. That is going to be the time that a lead comes into the system, meaning the time that somebody opts into the ad to the time that they get their first phone call from your ISA. You want to track the number of outbound dials that they're making every single day. You want to track the number of times people are answering the phone from their calls every single day. You want to track the number of quality conversations that they're having. So people who do want to buy or sell, because they're not going to be able to set an appointment every single time. Like I said, sometimes you're going to get people who it's great, they want to buy, they want to do it in the next 1 or 2 months, they're ready to go, but they have no desire to set an appointment and meet with you. So that's a quality conversation, but it may not be an appointment. And that's going to be a giveaway of the actual ISA skill. So if the ISA has a really low quality conversation to appointment booking rate, that means they need more training. That means you're going to come back here and you're going to do more daily, setting, script, live role play, or it could mean that you have the wrong ISA, right? It could mean that that just might not be the right person for the job. So you want to set minimum KPIs for all of your ISAs. That's what we do inside of our company. And we make sure that they are hitting those KPIs. If they're not, they're out, because we have extremely strict high standards for every single person on our team. You want to be updating their numbers every single day. So in regards to tracking these numbers, you want to make sure they're tracked on the daily and you're logging those numbers. And then obviously from there on a weekly basis, you're monitoring their KPIs, because one day their pickup rate might be 25%, but I guarantee you most of the time it's going to sit around 5%. That's what ours is across the entire country upon making, upwards of 50,000 phone calls every single day, every single month. We make around 50,000 phone calls every single month. And out of those phone calls, we typically only see around 5% of people answer the phone across all of our agents. So again, we're going to be reverse engineering any problems that we run into. If your pickup rate is super high, that's a good thing. Right? This is definitely not a problem. If your pickup rate is super high, pay attention to what time of the day you're calling them, track the circumstances, what number you're calling from them from, time of day is super important, day of the week and everything. You want to monitor those things, because if you can track those circumstances and repeat them to maintain that high pickup rate, it means your ISAs are going to be able to get more out of less time actually working. If the pickup rate's extremely low, then we're going to start testing with voicemail drops. We're going to start double dialing them. We're going to change the hours of the day that we're calling, just switch everything up to try to increase that pickup rate. If dials are low, that's an internal, typically a training problem. So your ISAs aren't working enough. They're not making enough calls. Whatever that is, you need to increase their hours, or it could just mean, maybe they're working super, super hard, but you literally just have too many leads and you need to hire an additional ISA there. Right? If speed to lead is low, that means your ISA is not paying attention to the incoming leads. You're going to have multiple leads. Typically, you're going to have multiple leads coming in every single day. If you're generating 67 leads every single month, that's a little over 2 leads per day, 7 days a week. So you want to closely supervise your ISA's working hours to make sure that they are on top of those leads coming in. One thing that we've done is anytime they call a lead in less than 5 minutes, we're requiring the ISA to let us know why they missed that call, why they were not able to call the lead within 5 minutes. Because sometimes it's that they were just on the phone with somebody else, right? They couldn't call the lead that came in because they were on the phone with somebody else. And this is the problem that most realtors run in when they call their own leads, is if they're at an appointment, if they're in the middle of a listing appointment and a new lead comes in, you're probably not going to be pulling out your phone and making that phone call right away, because you're in the middle of an appointment. And that way, you could get out of that appointment in 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, whatever it is. And then your speed to lead is horrible, right? And you need to make sure that you're calling your leads within 5 minutes of them coming into the system. That is extremely important. From there, if your quality conversation to booking rate that's again a skill issue. So your ISAs need to focus on building stronger rapport, building more trust with the people that they're having conversations with. It could mean editing the scripts, editing the value propositions, adjusting what your ISAs are saying that the prospect is actually going to get out of having that appointment with you. Because again, if all you're wanting to do is set up a home search for them, they can get that off of Zillow. There's no need to meet with you in order to actually just get a list of properties or anything. So you want to make sure you're very clear on the value that you actually bring to the table as an agent. Again, you want to closely supervise the ISA's working hours and, make sure that they're actually converting them and following the right processes and everything. If the pickup to quality conversation rate is low, that could be a tonality issue, because that first sentence that they're saying is not enough to hook the other person's attention and keep them on the phone with you. Your opener may not be very good, or overall they may just need more training, right? So these are all things that we're monitoring every single week, every single day, and this is how we're addressing a lot of those problems. So this is what it looks like when our ISAs actually schedule an appointment and pass off a deal opportunity to you or to any agent. So we go ahead and do this. The ISA takes, very detailed notes, talks about, what they talked about, whether they're a buyer and a seller, where they are, what they're actually looking for, price range, budget, time frame, motivation, make sure they're not working with an agent. All of the things that I described up here are, the minimum, criteria of what we're collecting before passing anything off. And I would recommend you have your ISAs do the exact same thing. Or if you want to have us do it for you, that's always an option too. Now, in regards to the third pillar, right? That was the outbound or inbound lead funnel system and the ISA system. Now we're going to talk about the long-term follow-up system. This is essentially what you're going to have inside of your CRM. Now, we have our own custom CRM that we use for all of the agents that we're partnered with, but at the end of the day, whether you're using, HubSpot, or you're using Sync, or you're using Spotio or Podio, whatever it is, doesn't Follow a Boss, that one's super, super popular, Trello, whatever it is. You can pretty much build out any of this stuff in any CRM. It doesn't necessarily have to be ours. Benefit of using us is that we do all of it for you, right? So for your long-term follow-up system, you're going to have two different systems. You're going to have two different systems because everybody's either going to be a buyer or a seller, or they could be both, and you're probably going to be firing both of them at the same time because you really want to work with those person, because you're going to make twice as much with one client, right? You could, if their price range and their, if their budget and their property that they need to sell are around the same price range, but you get what I mean. So you're going to be building out an email sequence, an SMS sequence, and then also a voicemail drop. You're going to build voicemail drop templates for either your ISAs to, or you can record the voicemails yourself so that they're getting more of a personalized message from the realtor themselves instead of just an ISA or your assistant or something, right? We're going to do that for both the buyer side and the seller side. Some examples of what we're actually putting in these messages, because the last thing that you want to do is just hey, can I set up a home search for you? Or, hey, do you want, whatever it is, you want to make sure you're giving something a way that they can't just get off of Zillow or they can't just get off the internet themselves. So you want to present actual opportunity here, right? So we're like, relocation opportunities. Hey, we just found out there's some properties in this part of town. I know you were kind of curious over there. Like, would you want me to send some of those properties over so you can see which ones I'm talking about, right? Home value propositions. Hey, just so you know, your estimate isn't nearly as accurate as you may think it is. That can be off by quite a bit in either direction. So I'd love to give you a more personalized, updated, accurate home evaluation. Hey, just checking in on you. How are things? How's life? You know, Easter's right around the corner. How do you have any plans, right? Keep it just personalized. Really, like, just connect with them. Don't make it all about real estate every single time. You want to do personalized market update invitation. So, hey, I just started sending out a weekly newsletter that just has like updates around the real estate market, where the activity is, when it's a good time to buy, when it's a bad time to buy, when it's a good time to sell, bad time to sell, things like that, just to keep them kind of on a recurring basis. You can invite them to join your newsletter, things like that. You also want to be sharing local market opportunities. This is kind of in alignment with the relocation opportunity. So anytime it's like there might be a really, really great real estate opportunity, share that with them, right? And you can build this out to be automated just as like, kind of to tease them a little bit, right? You're like, hey, I had a crazy real estate opportunity just come across my desk. You're sending this as a text message. I thought of you because I know you were interested in this area a while back, right? You're just checking in with people, staying top of mind like that. From there, another thing you can do is respark their initial motivation. So why did they even click on? What did they click on in the first place on your ad? Was it about a home evaluation? Was it about off-market properties? Was it about seeing a list of homes in this neighborhood under a certain price point? To reach back out about what they had originally inquired about. And then memes are really great too to keep people engaged. So real estate memes, ghosted memes, if they haven't responded to you, you message them over and over and over again. Be playful. You don't just be annoying, right? So send funny memes, whatever works to get some kind of response, right? At the end of the day, it's better to get a bad response. It's better to have them cuss you out or say, take me off your list, or, don't call me anymore, whatever it is. It's better to have them say that to you than say nothing at all, right? Because at least they exist. They're real. The phone number you have works, right? You're talking to the right person. So that's super, super important. From there, another thing you can do to increase the conversion rate of these follow-up messages is track the response rates from each touch point. Now, we can do this inside our CRM. I don't know if any CRM that you're using has that same capability, but that's something you can do to make sure that the messaging and everything that you're sending out is actually good, right? So you're going to be assessing responsiveness on a weekly basis. If response rates are extremely low, then obviously you're going to be testing new messages. So we're sending out things like, hey, Teresa, this is Levi, Haley's assistant. Just wanted to follow up on the info you requested about the homes in Naples under 550. Was there a part of town you had your eye on? Just like that. And there we go. So people will respond to these messages just like that. Oh, looks like I've got that on there double. Then random questions. Hey, I'm just curious, what would your dream house even look like? Do you have anything without a pool? Okay, good to know. Maybe the ad that they clicked on had, pools on it or something, right? So this person's clearly asking for something that is not that doesn't have a pool. Or here, hey, hi, Angel, I think it was a little while ago. It says on mine, you requested some properties. I've been trying to get a hold of you so we can get a custom list put together for you. Do you have a second to chat? You can see this person clearly wants to chat. They called us once, they called us again, and then they texted asking us to give them a call back, right? So these are things that you can build that run on autopilot. These are not real people sending these messages, and it's not some AI chatbot either. It's just pre-written programmed messages that are scheduled to go out at certain time increments. And then as soon as somebody re-engages, we can go ahead and jump in and pick up that conversation from there, so we don't have to waste time following up over and over and over again. It's possible that we've called this person 4, 5, 6 times and they didn't answer our calls, but we finally sent them that text and that piqued their interest, right? So super, super important to have that long-term follow-up system built out that is going to be running on autopilot and re-engaging your cold and warm leads 365 days a year. So that's 3 of our 4 pillars. The 4th one is going to be the agent contract conversion system. So in this case, we need a conversion system that is going to convert appointments, that is going to convert, the 80 appointments that we're scheduling across the entire year, or 2 appointments a week, 20 appointments a quarter, 7 appointments a week. We need a system that is going to convert at least 25% of those. Now, that is not a very high, bar to hit. Some agents close at 50%. Some agents close even more than that. So based on that, in order to actually hit that, conversion rate, we're not just going to run in blindly. We're going to be writing appointment confirmation, intro, value, proposition scripts. So first of all, this is something you can give to the ISAs, but then also a conversation that you're going to have with them as well, because you want to call and confirm every single appointment that's set to make sure it's good to go, to make sure they're excited, to make sure they're ready to meet with you, and you want to have actual value that you are conveying to them. So it's not just like, hey, how's it going? Really excited to meet for coffee, this or that, whatever, to talk about real estate. It's like, give actual value, right? And so the way that you want to go about doing that is by stacking your personal value propositions as a buyer's agent. So sit down with yourself for a couple hours, really think this over, and ask yourself, what all do my clients get out of working with me, right? Why should my clients work with me over the other agents in my market, right? Why should an agent actually choose you? So that is going to be your personal value proposition. What do you bring to the table as a buyer's agent and as a listing agent? Then from there, you're going to go ahead and merge that into your appointment setting scripts, into your, confirmation scripts and stuff, so that you are conveying value at the time of your appointments to make sure that they actually happen. Again, it's one thing to set a ton of appointments, but if those appointments don't show up, if those appointments, don't want to meet with you, or they're canceling or something, then you have a bigger problem, right? So you need to make sure that they feel they're actually going to get value out of meeting with you. So you're also going to want to set up an agent pipeline KPI tracker. So it's one thing to just, give your ISAs a whole bunch of KPIs and metrics that they have to hit. But if they're setting a ton of appointments for you and, you're not closing any deals, then, you're becoming the problem yourself. So you want to track the total number of appointments that you're confirming. So every appointment that's set for you, you want to call and confirm it yourself. You want to make sure that it's good. You want to have a little bit of introduction, have a conversation with them. You want to track the number of appointments that you're actually holding, and then you also want to track the total number of documents that you're actually getting signed, whether that's a buyer-broker agreement or a listing agreement. Almost done here. Now, these are some best practices that we've seen to actually increase conversion rate as well, because it's one thing to just map out everything that you bring to the table and stuff. It's another thing to actually be good at sales, right? Most agents don't think that they actually need to be good at sales. A lot of agents are like, oh, I don't want to be a pushy salesperson. I don't want to be that kind of agent, whatever. I just want to go off of, being friendly with people, and that may not always get the job done. You have to know who you're talking with, and you actually have to know how to sell. You actually have to know how to convert as an agent. And so using the DISC profiling system to analyze inbound opportunities is going to be a great way for you to make stronger connections with people, especially if you have a conversation with them over the phone. You want to make a really, really strong connection on that first phone call or on that appointment confirmation call, to make sure that the appointment's actually going to happen and they're excited to meet with you and they don't feel like it's an inconvenience for them, right? Now, time blocking, the reason I have this on here is because we've obviously just covered a lot of complex topics, and this can be really difficult to manage. Now, the marketing, this is something that I would recommend outsourcing. The ISA system, this is, again, something that I would recommend outsourcing. This system is something that you want to build out one time and then you're good to go, but you do want to manage it and monitor it on a weekly basis. So if you want to have all three of these things completely done for you, just reach out to us directly and we're happy to set all of this up for you, or at least kind of point you in the right direction, in case working with us isn't the best thing or the right thing for you. But if you are managing it all yourself, then you're going to want to time block your calendar. You're going to want to have scheduled times to, make all of those confirmation calls, to follow up with people, the other 75% that may not have closed at the actual appointment. Like, you need to have systems and time scheduled for you to actually follow back up and touch base with all of those people. But on top of that, you want to set aside time to manage all of these systems to make sure that they're performing properly as well, especially if you're doing it yourself. Now, another thing that we're going to be doing, and this kind of goes along with time blocking, is set aside time to do daily personalized human touches to everybody in your pipeline. So you don't have to get super personal with like the hundreds of leads that are going to be coming in throughout the year. But you do want to get super personal with the people who you have appointments scheduled with, right? So you want to have time blocked off at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half every single day to, and obviously depending on the amount of people in your pipeline, to actually like write, handwritten letters, to reach out to them personally, like to get to know these people. The whole point of this strategy is to artificially expand your sphere. If you just rely on your friends and your circle of influence, your sphere of influence, your business is going to be capped. You're capped at the amount of people that you know and the amount of people and the people that they know. And then you're just betting on your top of mind, probability that they're actually going to like call you when someone they know actually wants to conduct a transaction. Whereas when you use a strategy like this, you're literally saying, I want to close $10 million in volume as a real estate agent. That means I need to close this many deals. That means I need this many appointments. That means I need this many leads. And this is how I'm going to actually make it happen, right? And so you want to actually make sure that you have time set aside to connect with these people, which is going to help with conversion, right? Again, it's one thing to generate a shit ton of leads. It's another thing to actually close deals. And this is how you make that happen. So from there, on a weekly basis, we're going to be reviewing KPIs every single week to find bottlenecks. You may think that you had a lead generation problem and that you weren't getting in front of enough people, when at the end of the day, you may just suck at sales and you can't close, right? This is tracking these numbers is what's going to actually let you know what the case is, right? So if your appointment confirmation is low, you want to adjust your value stack, figure out how you can provide more value, create more perceived value about why meeting with you is the best thing that they can possibly do and why they should be excited and looking forward to it, right? Again, if meeting show rate is low, we're going to be doing the exact same thing. If people aren't confirming their appointments with you, that's going to be the same problem. If people aren't showing up to their appointments with you, again, same problem. It's a value issue. It means they don't see meeting with you as something that's actually worth their time. So you want to adjust your value stack. You want to practice introduction or intro, value propositions and whatnot, appointment confirmation calls, things like that, to make sure that they're actually excited to meet with you. If your held appointment to signed, docs rate is low, that means that you have a sales problem, right? You need to practice your presentations. You need to increase the amount of sales training. That could mean investing in, a coach or a mentor, whatever you got to do to increase your conversion. Study more, watch the right YouTube videos, do the right things, practice, role play with other agents in your office, things like that, in order to actually increase your conversion rate. A lot of agents just go into appointments completely winging it. They're like, oh, I don't have a pitch. I don't have a presentation. I've got nothing. I just kind of walk in, talk to them, and they want to work with me. That may not be the case with strangers, right? Maybe your friends and your family are happy to work with you because they already trust that you're the best person to sell the house because so-and-so said so. But in this case, these people probably don't know you yet. So you're going to need to actually appear as, professional and be professional and actually be able to, conduct a proper, sales meeting, conduct a proper sales presentation in order to get them to want to work with you specifically. If people are ghosting you, what does that mean? It means they don't like you, right? It means they don't care to respond to you. It means they are bored by hearing your messages. It means that they are finding you annoying, or it means that their life is just extremely busy and they don't have time to respond. That could always be a possibility too. A lot of agents say oh, I don't want to nag people. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to bother them. Most of the time, they're not even thinking about you. They're not thinking, ugh, so-and-so keeps calling me. Ugh, this person keeps reaching out and checking in on me. Sometimes they may not even be annoyed. But if you have no value to actually provide, then that's going to be annoying. No one wants to get a call from a real estate agent every other week saying, hey, how's it going? Are you ready to list your house yet? When can I come look at your house? When can we go look at properties? That's just annoying, right? So you want to make sure you're building personal relationships with these people. So increase and improve the personal touch points if your ghost rate is extremely high. So these are some of the agents that we've worked with, just different case studies and stuff. This is kind of how we've been able to actually, install this system into our partner's business. So obviously it works incredibly well. Any agent that we work with, we're literally taking care of all of these pillars for them entirely. The only one that the agent has to focus on is actually their own conversion, right? We do all of the marketing, we do all of the ISA stuff, we do all of the CRM system build out and everything, and we build all this inside of the agent's business so they're not dependent on us. We're not a marketing agency or anything. People don't have to pay us monthly fees or anything to keep on working with us or to, prevent them from losing the systems and everything that we've built for them. We literally come into their business, build these systems, and it's theirs forever. So if you want to work with us, feel free to just reach out, book a call I think there might be a link to book a call with us in the description of the video. Feel free to check out some of our other content where we dive a little bit more in depth on some of these topics. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything, just feel free to reach out to me or my team. We're happy to help you out, and good luck.